Okay, so number three leadership language is called the Army idea. The Army idea, very simply, is the mental hook to remember this principle that the idea of leadership and the Army idea is that the leader works behind the front lines, supporting the front lines, making sure that they have everything they need to be able to be successful, as that is where the rubber meets the road. It's what's called the sharp end of the stick. And that's what needs to drive leadership. Leadership isn't necessarily on the front lines. Leadership, according to the Army idea, works behind the front lines, making sure that they have the strategy, the tactics, the training, the equipment, the material, everything that is necessary for them to accomplish their work. Because the battle is won and fought at the front lines, but in many ways, the outcome is decided by how well the leaders work behind the front lines to support them. In some ways, if you want to think about this more biblically, you could go to the Ephesians 4 passage. You have the gifts of the Spirit listed in different locations: Romans 12, 1 Corinthians 12, and Ephesians 4. The Ephesians 4 is really the leadership gifts being spoken of in a specific context. You have the apostles, the prophets, the evangelists, the shepherds, and the teachers. And those roles, it says very clearly, are in order to equip the saints, to equip the body of Christ to do the work that they're called to do. So the work of the pastor is not to be the one doing all the ministry programming. That's not the job. That's not the job of the leader. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be working behind the front lines, equipping and training, resourcing the body of Christ to do the battle that needs to be done. So if your view of ministry as a lay person is that the pastor is the one that's supposed to do it, that's why we pay him, that's unbiblical. If your view as a pastor is that you should be the one on the front lines doing the ministry, your face should be out there, you should be in charge of the children's ministry, the youth ministry, the men's ministry, the women's ministry, you should be engaged and involved in all of those in the front line, you're going to, number one, either maintain a very small church because you can't do but so much, or you're going to frustrate all of your people until they leave, and then you have a small church. So the Army idea is that the general is behind the lines, equipping and training and resourcing the front lines where the battle actually happens. And that is a great leadership principle to remember all the time. We love the picture of the leader out front charging with his men, but if you want to have a big army, if you want to successfully accomplish a massive campaign, you need to have the Army idea in place where the generals are behind the line. The line is the point. The sharp end of the stick is what drives decisions. But the Army leader is the one that is equipping and training and resourcing. And that is what you should be doing in leadership in the church as well. Equipping, training, and resourcing. Now that means you need to know what you're talking about, and that's generally how you filter up through the ranks in any organization, as you're learning and acquiring skills, training, you're gaining the experiential knowledge so that you can be trusted in leadership. But you need to work behind the lines, out of the limelight, in order to train, equip, and resource. And so that's the Army idea in leadership language.